Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Pen Fans series on our YouTube channel. My name is Joost Appelboom and today we have a really special guest on this episode. But first, before I tell a little bit more about this episode, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on a video at all. So this guest for this episode, we have her. It is Michael, and he's also known from Scrively. It's a blog and it's a YouTube channel, and you can find anything about stationery there. So if you're not aware of it, make sure to check it out. The link to the YouTube channel can be found in the description below. And if you're there anyway, click the subscribe button. All right, Michael, thank you so much for having the time to ask three really important questions about founder pens. And I think it's just good to just start straight away. How did you get into founder pens?
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Joost, and happy to chat about those questions. Good first question. I think how I got into fountain pens has a twofold answer. Number one is that when you go to school in Germany back in the 80s, I don't know how it is nowadays, but back in the 80s when you went to school in Germany, you had to learn cursive with a fountain pen. So in 1986, when I was like a first grader, I had to write with a Lamy ABC. I think that was my first one, like these wooden ones with that red knob. And then I think like a couple of years later, it got upgraded to a Lamy Safari. So that started my fountain pen habit very early on. And then fountain pens also became sort of like one of my first jobs when in the year 2000, I started working for a couple of years in a stationery store as a retail manager, when I then actually sold pens and fountain pens and all kinds of other pens and stationery as well. So I think like those two things you could see as sort of like the founding, the basis of me getting into the pen world.
How do you use your founder pens in daily life?
Oh, also a good one. Yeah, so I use my fountain pens literally all the time. Not literally all the time, but whenever I have any writing related tasks to do. So I always carry one in my chest pocket or in my jacket or in my bag, and I use them for journaling, note taking, for planning. I have like a private bullet journal that I write and a private planner. I'm not so much into digital planners, not for private planning. I do a lot of paper based. Digital, I only do for business reasons where meetings shift all the time. That I don't do on paper anymore. But all the private travel planning and when I think about my reviews and when I prepare my reviews, I obviously write with the pens and I write the review notes with fountain pens. So I basically use fountain pens literally all the time, and I always have like a pen in arm's reach, or a pen, even a pen pouch with like two or three pens. I most of the time carry a fountain pen. Most of the time it's a second fountain pen with a contrasting ink color, and then it's always a mechanical pencil in case I meet, it needs to be erasable or it's non-fountain pen friendly. So that's normally the three pens that I always have in arm's reach. So yeah, I use them like all the time.
What is your top tip for fountain pen users?
So I mean, I think very non-technical, but I think my top tip as maybe somebody who has like quite a bit of a fountain pen journey behind me, like think 2 decades or so, I think my top tip is find your journey, find your journey and find your preferences and let this take the time that it takes. Try out stuff. And I actually made myself a couple of notes here just like show what I mean. And it's like, some people are users and they have just very few pens that they use all the time. And some people are collectors and they have hundreds of pens. Figure out where on the spectrum you fall. Some people like vintage pens because they like the vibe of it. And some people like modern pens. Some people prefer fine nibs, others prefer broad nibs and have only broad nibs, and others want a mix because they want to have a nib for every occasion, right? Some people love one pen brand or even one country. They like Italian pens, and other people, again, like many. Some people like to stick with one ink color. Other people can't wait until the cartridge is written empty, or they even flush it out because they like, switching out inks all the time, and some use fountain pen specifically only for letters or signing important documents, and other people use fountain pens even for writing a grocery list or some seemingly unimportant things. So I think my top tip is within what I just sketched out, find your style. This was not an exhaustive list, but I mean, there's perhaps more of these examples, but there is no one right style. And if anybody tells you only German pens are the best or broad nibs are the best, that's all personal preference. It's a bit of an acquired taste. It's like whiskey. The more you drink it, the more you figure out the taste. And I think it's the same with fountain pens. The more you use them and explore different makes and brands and inks, the more you figure out what is right for you. So I think my top tip is, develop the taste. Don't be afraid to try things, and don't listen to other people. Of course, listen to all of us important reviewers because we know it. No, it's just a joke, of course. But I mean, form an opinion, use the information that's out there, form an opinion, try stuff, and find your journey, and find out what you personally like. And I think that's my top tip.
I love this. I love this tip. Thank you so much, Michael, for this amazing video. And everybody, make sure to subscribe to Michael's YouTube channel. And we see you next week with another pen fan. Bye bye.